This right here is the perfect battery solution for your Pocket Cinema camera. Hello, my name is Jonathan Palfrey and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe as always. Now today I wanted to talk to you about my favourite battery solution for the Pocket Cinema cameras. You know, I've been doing a lot of reviews of the Pocket 6K Pro and that is awesome with its new battery system, much more sleeker and more convenient than ever before. But that's not to say there's still not a good reason to go for another battery solution. Perhaps maybe you want to add a lot of accessories, you want to add things like a monitor at the top or things like that, or you just want to build out the camera so it's got more weight to it and it just gives you a different style of filmmaking. And certainly if you've got a Pocket 4K or 6K original, then those cameras really do need a good battery option to make them really that usable. So when it comes to battery options, there's a few different ways you can go for your Pocket 4K, 6K or 6K Pro. First and foremost is of course the easiest option, which is just to stick with the batteries inside the camera. But as we know with the Pocket 4K and 6K, those little Canon batteries really don't last well. At best you can get 40 minutes and that's really at best, but in reality if you're using knockoff batteries you're probably going to get 20 minutes and the big problem is they just cut off out of nowhere. So that's really not a very good solution. Of course you can buy like the battery grip and that's an okay kind of alternative, but certainly with the original cameras you actually lose the slot inside the camera. Yes, you gain some battery life, but it's still not a huge gain compared to using another option. So it really does come down to external batteries, and there's a few solutions out there. Of course there's those sort of ones that attach to the bottom of the camera and they're really quite a nice neat solution. The only problem is of course they're a bit more expensive and it requires a bit more effort to change them through a shoot. Now they are quite large, so you probably only would be changing it once in a day, but it's still a bit more of a pain to do a battery swap. Of course, the cheap solution is to go down the Sony NP-F route, and lots of people do use that as an option. And it's certainly a really good affordable option. You can just buy a battery plate that then goes into the side of the camera. These batteries are of course well known, you use them for many accessories, they're super cheap and you can find them anywhere. But one big problem with them is they don't have any sort of real external power options. They don't have D-tap, for example. And because they're only 7.2 volts, they won't work with every accessory. So if you're looking for a solution where you can actually use D-tap to power your accessories, then there's a few other options available out there. You can go for the Sony BPU batteries, and actually I was using these before we went to Vlocks. The reason we used them was because we had a Sony FS7, so it was just what we had lying around. And there are certainly advantages to them. They're quite small, which is really great. They charge fairly quickly. They usually have a power indicator on them, so you can just quickly check if they've got a lot of charge, which is a frustration with the Canons and the Sony NP-F batteries, where you just got to guess if they are charged or not. This version I have right here, which is the Hawkwood's BP75, also has 2 D-taps on there as well, which is obviously great for powering accessories. So why aren't I suggesting this as the perfect battery solution? Well, they are slightly odd shapes, and if you, depending on how you mount them, they can just kind of do this strange stick up where they can block the screen. Yes, you can sort of try and mount it sideways, but I always fear that the pins are just a bit too small and a bit too fragile to really hold all that weight, especially if you're pushing it against yourself while filming. So for me, these aren't quite the perfect solution. Another issue as well is with charging. You only really have one option, and that is by using an actual Sony BP battery charger. Now you can get some cheap dual chargers out there, but once again, it just requires a dedicated system to make it work. And that's where these other batteries come in. Vlocks batteries. Now you've probably heard many videos talking about why you should go with Vlocks, and there's so many different options out there. And I think there's only really one option if you want to go down the Vlocks route, and that is the FXLion Nano Batteries. Now there's many reasons why I really love these batteries, and we actually have 3 of them that we use all the time with our Pocket 4Ks. First and foremost is the obvious, and that is its size. It's a really compact Vlocks option. There are many different ways that Vlocks are being produced out there right now. Of course, the traditional ones were really quite large and just really not appropriate for using with smaller cameras. but these new Vlocks batteries that are coming out from different manufacturers work really well and are much more appropriate size. Some of them are quite slim, and that's quite a nice option in terms of how you want to rig your camera, but these nano batteries have gone for a more compact, stubby design, which I really quite like in terms of putting it back in your bag. It doesn't take up hardly any space whatsoever. This right here is the Nano 2, which is a 98 watt-hour battery. They also make the Nano 1, which is a 50 watt-hour battery. Now the great thing about 98 watt-hour battery, it is the largest you can get while still being flight safe. So if you're going on lots of traveling, this is an ideal battery in terms of keeping maximum battery life, but also staying within the regulations. I would say, depending on how you rig your camera and your uses, the Nano 1 may be a better option. It is half the size, which is really quite impressive how tiny they've made that battery. So if battery life isn't such a big deal for you, or if you can easily handle having more batteries in your bag when you're doing shoots, then certainly the Nano 1 is a good option over the Nano 2. Whether you go for the Nano 1 or Nano 2 though, you're getting some of the same great features, and it's really about having options. That's what makes these FXLion Nano batteries so special, I'd say, over the competition that's out there. First up, as with pretty much all Vlocks batteries, on the side you have a D-tap connection. Of course, this is really handy for plugging in accessories such as an external monitor or a follow focus, and it can also power the camera as well if you want to do it from there. Now that's a pretty common feature, so you'd expect to see that on any Vlocks battery, to be honest. But what makes this really special is on top. On top you have actually 3 USB connection options, and that really is quite unique. So you've got your standard USB plug, which is quite common nowadays, gives you 5-volt power. You can power things like a Tilta Nano follow focus, which is really handy, or you can even charge your phone if you need to. But this battery sort of takes things one step further. They've also included a microUSB for charging, and more importantly, a USBC power delivery port. This battery can be charged via USB power delivery, but also it can charge other devices via that USB-C port too, and at quite a rate as well, up to 45 watts, which is enough to charge a MacBook Pro. Now this is so great, I actually managed to convince my photographer colleague to actually buy a few of these batteries for when he's doing shoots out and about. He's actually attached a Vlocks plate to the back of his case, so he can just attach that on there, and then he just plugs in via USB-C into his MacBook Pro. Now of course, if you're using a MacBook Pro 16, it can use up to 100 watts of power, so this won't be able to give you enough power to keep the battery fully charged on the laptop. It will start draining if you're using your MacBook Pro to the full. However, it will help keep the charge up and make it last a lot longer, which is really useful. Also, if you're just idling on your MacBook or you've not actually got it turned on, of course, it will actually charge quite quick at 45 watts. I would say 45 watts of power is fine in most scenarios, because actually you're not normally maxing out your MacBook all the time. You'll have moments where you stop, especially when you're in the field. You may be copying something at one moment where it's using a lot of power, but then it will sit idle for a few minutes, and that's where it can sort of catch up and the power will go below 45 watts of usage, and this battery will charge it no problem whatsoever. This battery is all about giving you options, whether it's to charge different devices or how it can be charged, which is another key feature that makes this battery unique. You can of course charge it on a Vlocks charger. As always, you can use the pins on the bottom, you slot it in and it will charge away. The only problem with those chargers, I do find them quite large, and that's why I'm not necessarily a big fan of using them. It's quite a bulky item to travel with just for charging one device. What's cool with this battery is you can use the D-tap to charge if you wish. This gives you a very fast charge, and you can actually do 2 at the same time in quite a compact setup. Now of course, this isn't the only battery that can charge via D-tap. There's plenty of other Vlocks out there that can do that too, and that is definitely a fast option to go down, but it still requires having a dedicated charger to make it work, even if it is more compact. And let's be honest, D-tap isn't the most common connection type out there outside of the filmmaking world. And this is where this battery has another trick up its sleeve, and that's those USB charging ports. Now you can charge via the microUSB, which is a bit dated now, but it's handy to have it there. It will be a very slow charge. But I think what's really special is that USB-C power delivery port. Just like how it can charge at 45 watts, other devices, it can also be charged at 45 watts as well, which means this battery can also be charged very fast using a very common connection type, USB-C. We have it everywhere now, especially power delivery such as our MacBook Pros or our mobile phones. USB-C has become so common, it just is a no-brainer when it comes to charging your camera equipment. I really like having options and backup options, especially when traveling. You may have the best kit in the world, you may have every device you could think of and everything you'd want in terms of a filmmaking setup. But if you can't charge your battery, then none of it will work. I know, my biggest fear would be going on a shoot, especially abroad to a country where perhaps it'd be difficult to find camera equipment or to purchase some new equipment, and to find out that on the travels the charger has broken. You know, your Vlocks battery charger is broken, or your Sony NPF battery charger has broken. You may find that that's it. You won't be able to recharge your batteries on the entire shoot. What do you do then? You have to maybe use a backup camera that's not as good, or you have to find another solution elsewhere. Maybe you have to just plug into a wall or something like that. So having options is always such a good idea, and that's why I love these batteries. It means that, yeah, I can bring along the D-Tap charger, which is fairly compact and will charge 2 batteries really quite quick, but also if that fails or it breaks or I just forget to bring it, I can still charge via USB-C too. And even if I haven't got that option, I've got MicroUSB, which I'm sure someone out there will have in a drawer. Basically, it means if you can charge your phone or you can charge your MacBook, you can charge your batteries for your shoot. And I think that's so key when it comes to professional work. Of course, the final feature I'll mention on this battery, it has got a little screen on the front, and when you press the button, it displays how much battery you've got left and how much power it's currently using. Also, it gives you a quick indicator as well with the lights, showing you how many bars of power you have remaining on the battery. As you can tell, I'm really excited by these batteries. I just love them. We've been using them for over a year, and I just recommend them to everyone I meet. If you're looking for a battery solution for your camera, for your MacBook Pro, for whatever, it's hard to beat this as an option. You know, you could plug a USB charger for, say, your Canon batteries or your Sony batteries or whatever into this, so you can have a portable charging solution. So even if you don't want to have an external power, you can use this as a charging hub effectively for charging smaller batteries, such as the inbuilt battery in a Sony a7S. There's so many good uses for these batteries, and what's great, you don't need to go out and buy anything special to charge them up. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, it really does help out the channel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!